The Discovery. Captain Elena Vasquez wiped the sweat from her brow as she studied the mineral analysis reports from the asteroid field. The bridge of the mining vessel Meridian hummed with the steady rhythm of industrial work, while outside the viewports, massive extraction arms pulled precious metals from floating rocks. For 15 years, Elena had commanded this operation in the Outer Rim territories, leading what everyone believed was a simple civilian mining crew. The communication console crackled to life, interrupting her thoughts. "Captain, priority transmission from Earth Central Command," announced her communications officer, Marcus Chen. His voice carried an unusual tension that made Elena look up sharply. "Put it through to my ready room," Elena ordered, standing from her captain's chair. She walked across the bridge, nodding to her crew members who continued their routine tasks. Chief Engineer Rosa Martinez was monitoring the fusion reactors, while Navigation Officer David Kim tracked the movement of mining drones through the asteroid field. None of them looked particularly concerned about the incoming message, but Elena felt a chill run down her spine. In the privacy of her ready room, Elena activated the secure communication channel. The holographic image of Admiral Patricia Reynolds materialized above her desk, but the woman's expression was grave in a way Elena had rarely seen during their years of correspondence. "Elena, we have a situation," Admiral Reynolds began without preamble. "3 more colonies have gone dark in the past week. New Geneva, Titan's Rest, and Port Armstrong. The Zenthari fleet is moving faster than our intelligence predicted." Elena's blood ran cold. The Zenthari had appeared in human space 18 months ago, claiming vast territories and demanding that human settlements evacuate immediately. When the colonists refused, the aliens had begun a systematic campaign of destruction that Earth's conventional military forces seemed powerless to stop. "How bad is it?" Elena asked, though she dreaded the answer. "Catastrophic. We've lost 47 colonies and counting. Our battle fleet engaged the Zenthari near the Kepler system last week. Of 36 ships, only 4 made it back to Earth. The alien technology is unlike anything we've encountered. Their shields absorb our weapons, their ships repair themselves during combat, and their tactical coordination is perfect." Elena stared at the holographic display, showing the locations of destroyed human settlements. Each red dot represented thousands of lives lost, families torn apart, and dreams shattered. "What does Earth Command want us to do? We're miners, not soldiers." Admiral Reynolds leaned forward, her eyes intense. "Elena, it's time. Authorization code Phantom 77 Alpha." The words hit Elena like a physical blow. She had hoped never to hear that particular code sequence, but she had been preparing for this moment her entire adult life. Her hands moved automatically to her desk drawer, retrieving a sealed packet that had remained unopened for 15 years. "Are you certain?" Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "The President has authorized full activation. Every sleeper crew, every hidden asset, every ghost ship we've been maintaining. The Zenthari think they're fighting a handful of primitive humans with basic technology. They have no idea what's coming." Elena broke the seal on the packet and read the orders that would transform her life forever. Around the Meridian, and throughout human space, similar conversations were taking place on hundreds of vessels that the galaxy believed were harmless civilian craft. After ending the communication with Admiral Reynolds, Elena sat in silence for several minutes, processing the magnitude of what was about to happen. Then she activated the ship's internal communication system and spoke words she had memorized decades ago, but never thought she would need to use. "All crew members, report to the main assembly hall immediately. Authorization code Phantom 77 Alpha." This is not a drill. Throughout the ship, people stopped what they were doing and exchanged meaningful glances. Marcus Chen shut down his communication equipment with practiced efficiency. Rosa Martinez initiated emergency protocols that began rerouting power from mining systems to other parts of the ship. David Kim pulled up navigation charts that showed not asteroid fields, but strategic military positions. In the assembly hall, Alina stood before her crew of 87 men and women who had lived and worked together as miners for years. But as she looked at their faces now, she saw something different. The casual demeanor of industrial workers was replaced by the focused attention of trained military personnel. "Ladies and gentlemen," Alina began, her voice carrying new authority, "today we stop pretending to be civilians. The Zenthari have forced our hand, and Earth has authorized the activation of Project Shadowfleet. You all know what this means." Chief Engineer Martinez stepped forward. "Captain, how long do we have?" 12 hours for full conversion. The Zenthari fleet will reach the Proxima sector in 3 days. We need to be ready." Alina paused, looking at each member of her crew. "I know this isn't what any of us wanted. We all hoped we could live out our lives as simple miners, that Earth would never need its ghost fleet. But our people are dying, and we're the only ones who can stop it." The transformation of the Meridian began immediately. Hidden panels throughout the ship slid open, revealing military-grade equipment that had been concealed for years. The mining arms detached and were replaced by weapon systems that emerged from secret compartments. The ship's hull began to shift and reconfigure as adaptive armor plating extended from internal storage bays. In the engineering section, Rosa Martinez supervised the activation of the ship's true power core. The civilian fusion reactor had been a facade, hiding a quantum singularity drive that could power weapons capable of cracking planets. As the new systems came online, the very nature of the ship changed from an industrial vessel to something far more dangerous. "Captain," called out Marcus Chen from the communication station, "we're receiving activation confirmations from ghost ships throughout the sector. The freighter Astrid's Dream is reporting full weapon systems online. The transport vessel New Horizon has deployed its fighter complement. The research ship Galilee is powering up its experimental beam weapons." Alina smiled grimly. Across human space, hundreds of ships were undergoing similar transformations. Vessels that the Zenthari had dismissed as civilian traffic were revealing their true nature as advanced military assets. The bridge itself was changing around them. Mining control stations were retracting into the floor, replaced by tactical displays and weapon control systems. The main view screen expanded to show not just local space, but a strategic overview of the entire sector, with friendly and hostile forces clearly marked. "Navigation, plot a course for the Proxima sector," Alina ordered. "Full stealth approach. Let's see how the Zenthari react when they realize they've been fighting with one hand tied behind our backs." As the Meridian accelerated toward its destination, Alina reviewed the classified files that detailed Project Shadowfleet. For 30 years, Earth's government had been placing military personnel in deep cover throughout human space. They lived as miners, traders, researchers, and transport crews, while maintaining sophisticated warships disguised as civilian vessels. The strategy had been born from humanity's first contact with hostile alien species decades earlier. Earth's leaders had realized that conventional military thinking would never be sufficient against technologically superior foes. Instead, they had developed a doctrine based on deception, patience, and the element of surprise. Every ghost ship crew had been carefully selected for their ability to maintain their cover identities while keeping their military skills sharp. They had families, friends, and lives that were completely real, but underneath it all, they remained ready to answer the call when humanity's survival was at stake. "Captain," interrupted David Kim from the navigation station, "long-range sensors are detecting massive energy signatures ahead. The Zenthari fleet is larger than we expected. I'm counting over 300 vessels, including what appears to be a command dreadnought that's bigger than anything in our files." Alina studied the tactical display with growing concern. The Zenthari fleet was indeed impressive, but it was also exactly where Earth Command had predicted it would be. The aliens were methodical in their approach to warfare, following predictable patterns that made them vulnerable to the right kind of strategy. "Weapons status?" Alina asked. "All systems green," replied Weapons Officer Lieutenant Commander Sarah Walsh, who until this morning had been posing as a mining equipment specialist. "Adaptive pulse cannons are calibrated, quantum torpedoes are armed, and our shield harmonics are synchronized with friendly vessels. The next few hours would determine whether humanity's greatest gamble would pay off. The Zenthari believed they were facing a weak species with limited military capabilities. They had no idea that Earth's true fleet had been hiding in plain sight for decades, waiting for exactly this moment. As the Meridian approached the battle zone, Alina felt the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. The success or failure of Project Shadowfleet would determine not just the outcome of this war, but the future of human civilization itself. The Ghost Fleet was humanity's secret weapon, and now it was time to see if 30 years of careful planning and sacrifice would be enough to. The revelation. The Zenthari command ship Eternal Dominion moved through space with the confidence of a predator that had never known defeat. Supreme Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of the massive dreadnought, his 6 arms crossed as he observed the tactical displays showing human space scattered with the debris of destroyed colonies. Status report, Kethvar commanded in the clicking language of his species. The human defensive fleet has been eliminated, reported his tactical officer. Their primitive vessels offered minimal resistance. We detected several civilian ships fleeing the area, but they pose no threat to our operations. Kethvar's mandibles clicked with satisfaction. The humans had proven to be even weaker than initial assessments had suggested. Their technology was crude, their tactics predictable, and their will to fight seemed to crumble after each defeat. Within a few more cycles, the entire human sector would belong to the Zenthari Empire. "Sir," interrupted the sensor operator, "we're detecting unusual energy signatures from some of the civilian vessels. The readings don't match standard human technology." "Explain," Kethvar ordered, his attention focusing on the anomaly. "The energy patterns suggest highly advanced power systems, but the vessels appear to be simple mining and transport ships. It's possible our sensors are malfunctioning due to the asteroid field's mineral composition." Kethvar considered this information. The Zenthari had encountered thousands of species during their expansion across the galaxy, and they had learned to be cautious of anything that seemed out of place. However, human technology had been thoroughly analyzed, and nothing in their files suggested the capacity for such advanced systems. Meanwhile, aboard the Meridian, Captain Alina Vasquez watched the Zenthari fleet through her ship's advanced sensors. The enemy vessels were arranged in a perfect formation, following the same tactical patterns they had used in every previous engagement. Their confidence was evident in their positioning, leaving gaps in their defensive screen that a more experienced opponent would never allow. "All ghost ships. This is Phantom Leader," Alina broadcast on the encrypted channel. "Initiate formation Delta 7. Remember, we hit them fast and hard, then adapt to whatever they throw back at us." The response came from dozens of ships scattered throughout the asteroid field. Captain James Riley aboard the disguised freighter Stellar Wanderer confirmed his position. Commander Lu Wei from the research vessel Deep Explorer reported all weapons systems ready. Transport Captain Maria Santos acknowledged from the New Frontier, her cargo bays now revealing squadrons of advanced fighters. "Phantom Leader, this is Phantom Base," came the voice of Admiral Reynolds from Earth. "You are authorized to engage. Show them what humanity is really capable of." Elena took a deep breath and gave the order that would change everything. "All ships, drop your masks. Let's introduce ourselves properly." Throughout the asteroid field, vessels that had appeared to be harmless civilian craft began their true transformation. The Meridian's hull shifted as armor plating emerged from hidden compartments, while weapon systems that had been concealed for years swiveled into firing positions. Her mining arms retracted completely, replaced by particle beam arrays that hummed with barely contained energy. The Stellar Wanderer's cargo containers separated and reconfigured into missile launchers, while the Deep Explorer's scientific equipment revealed itself to be the most advanced sensor and electronic warfare suite in human space. The New Frontier opened her cargo bays and launched wave after wave of fighters that had been waiting in darkness for this moment. On the Zenthari command ship, alarm signals began sounding throughout the bridge. "Admiral," the sensor operator called out in panic, The civilian ships are not civilian ships. They're warships, sir. Advanced warships. Kethvar stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Where moments before there had been scattered mining vessels and transports, now there were dozens of military craft with energy readings that surpassed anything in the Zenthari database. How is this possible? Our intelligence indicated that humans possess only primitive technology. Sir, they're opening fire. The first salvo from the Ghost Fleet struck the Zenthari formation with devastating effect. But these weren't ordinary weapons. Alina had given the order to activate humanity's most closely guarded secret, adaptive combat systems that learned and evolved with each shot fired. The initial particle beams struck Zenthari shields at standard frequencies, exactly what the aliens expected from human weapons. But as the ship's artificial intelligence analyzed the shield harmonics, the weapons automatically adjusted their output to match the resonance frequency of the enemy defenses. Impossible, breathed the Zenthari tactical officer as he watched his ship's shields flicker and fail. Their weapons are changing frequency in real time. They're adapting to our defenses. The Meridian's quantum torpedoes struck next, but instead of exploding on impact, they phased through the Zenthari hull armor and detonated inside the ships themselves. The torpedoes had analyzed the molecular structure of the alien vessels and adjusted their quantum signatures to pass through solid matter. All ships, implement battle pattern Omega, Alina commanded. Let's show them what human creativity looks like. The Ghost Fleet began to move in ways that defied conventional military doctrine. Instead of maintaining rigid formations, the ships flowed like a living organism, each vessel adapting its role based on real-time tactical analysis. When the Zenthari concentrated fire on one area, the human ships would redistribute their positions to present new target priorities. But the most shocking development came when the Zenthari attempted to use their own adaptive technology. The aliens had always relied on their ability to analyze enemy tactics and develop countermeasures during battle. However, when they tried to adapt to human weapons, they found that the weapons had already adapted to their adaptations. Their entire fleet is learning, reported Chief Engineer Martinez from her station. Every ship is sharing tactical data in real time. When one vessel develops a new countermeasure, all the others implement it instantly. Captain Riley's voice came over the communication channel. Phantom Leader, the Zenthari are trying to retreat. Their command ship is pulling back behind their defensive line. Alina smiled grimly. Negative on the retreat, Phantom 7. We didn't spend 30 years in deep cover just to let them escape. All ships, execute the Prometheus Protocol. The Prometheus Protocol was humanity's ultimate expression of adaptive warfare. Instead of simply countering enemy tactics, the Ghost Fleet began to predict what the Zenthari would do before they did it. The ship's artificial intelligence systems had been analyzing alien behavior patterns since the war began, building psychological profiles of how different species responded to various combat situations. As the Zenthari command ship attempted to withdraw, it found its escape route blocked by human vessels that had anticipated the move. When the aliens tried to reorganize their formation, they discovered that the Ghost Fleet had already positioned itself to counter their new arrangement. Admiral, the Zenthari sensor operator reported with growing desperation, they're not just adapting to our technology. They're predicting our strategies. It's as if they can read our thoughts. Supreme Admiral Kethvar watched in horror as his supposedly invincible fleet was systematically dismantled by an enemy that had appeared from nowhere. The humans weren't just fighting back, they were demonstrating a level of tactical sophistication that exceeded anything the Zenthari had encountered in their centuries of conquest. Sir, his communications officer announced, we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet. They're demanding our surrender. Kethvar's mandibles clicked in disbelief. No species had ever demanded the surrender of a Zenthari fleet. The very concept was inconceivable. Put them through. Captain Alina Vasquez appeared on the main view screen, her expression calm but determined. Behind her, the bridge of the Meridian hummed with activity as her crew coordinated what had become the most decisive battle in human history. Supreme Admiral Cathfar, Elena began. I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Forces. Your fleet is surrounded and outgunned. I'm offering you one chance to withdraw from human space and never return. Impossible, Cathfar replied. We are the Zenthari. We have conquered 1,000 worlds. You are nothing but primitive mammals with crude technology. Elena's smile was cold. That's what we wanted you to think. For 30 years, we've been preparing for this war. Every ship you see here has been in position since before you entered our space. Every weapon, every tactic, every strategy has been designed specifically to counter your capabilities. The truth of her words was evident in the tactical display. The Zenthari fleet, which had seemed so overwhelming just minutes before, was now trapped in a web of human ships that had appeared as if from nowhere. We studied your species, Elena continued. We learned your patterns, your weaknesses, your overconfidence. You thought you were fighting Earth's military, but you were actually fighting our intelligence service. This entire war has been one long reconnaissance mission. As if to emphasize her point, the remaining Zenthari ships found themselves unable to maneuver as human vessels emerged from what had appeared to be empty space. Asteroid mining platforms revealed themselves to be weapons batteries, while communication relay stations activated powerful jamming systems that cut off the Zenthari fleet from their home territories. This is impossible, Cathfar repeated, but his voice now carried a note of fear that had never been present before. No, Elena replied, this is humanity. We don't fight the wars our enemies expect us to fight. We fight the wars we choose to fight, on our terms, with our advantages. Throughout human space, similar scenes were playing out as ghost fleets revealed themselves and engaged Zenthari forces that had no idea they were walking into carefully prepared traps. The war that the aliens thought they were winning had been orchestrated from the beginning to lead to this moment. You have 1 minute to begin your withdrawal, Elena announced. After that, we demonstrate why it's dangerous to underestimate the species that turned deception into an art form. As the Zenthari fleet began its humiliating retreat, Admiral Reynolds' voice came over the communication channel from Earth. Phantom Leader, this is Phantom Base. Outstanding work. The entire galaxy is watching, and they're getting the message loud and clear. Elena looked out at the stars, knowing that humanity's long masquerade was finally over. The Ghost Fleet had revealed itself, and the galaxy would never underestimate the human species again. They had won not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through patience, planning, and the uniquely human ability to think several steps ahead of their enemies. The war was far from over, but today had proven that when humanity chose to reveal its true capabilities, even the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy had reason to be afraid.